All right, so are you ready to like really dive deep into this whole BRICS thing?
Oh, absolutely. Always up for a deep dive.
Yeah, so today we're talking about BRICS Pay. Like, can this new payment system they're cooking up, could it really like topple the US dollar?
That's a big question.
It is a big question. We've got some interesting articles here from Inside Bitcoins and CoinMarketCap. Oh, and the Global Times and NDTV too. So we're getting perspectives from like all over the place.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot topic right now.
Oh, for sure. So let's get into it. Like, what is the the backstory here?
Well, I think a lot of this stems from, what happened with Russia and Ukraine.
It's the sanctions.
Exactly. After that whole thing went down, BRICS nations, they started getting really worried about the U.S. dollar and, how much power it has.
Yeah.
One of our sources, NDTV, they actually pointed out that those sanctions basically forced Russia to, completely stop trading in dollars. They had to scramble to find other options.
Wow, so they were, cut off.
Pretty much. And that's sent shockwaves through the whole BRICS bloc. It really highlighted how the U.S. dollar can be used, maybe weaponized is a good word.
Oh, interesting. Like you're saying it's like a tool of, influence.
Yeah, exactly. By controlling the flow of money through systems like SWIFT, the U.S. can exert a ton of pressure.
Yeah.
And that's what spooked the BRICS nations. They're like, we need to find a way to break free from this.
Okay, so they're not just complaining about it. They're actually trying to do something.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely taking action. De-dollarization is the buzzword they're using.
De-dollarization, catchy.
Right. And they're doing some interesting things. For example, both Russia and China, they've been quietly, increasing their gold reserves,
Right.
while at the same time, they're ditching their U.S. Treasury bonds.
Oh, that's interesting. They're moving their money around.
Yeah, and inside Bitcoins, they suggest that this is a strategic move to, protect themselves from any risks associated with the dollar,
Diversifying, right.
Yeah.
Spreading their bets.
Exactly. And there's more. They're also trying to use their own national currencies for trade. Instead of going through the dollar, they're just, trading directly with each other.
So, China pays for Russian oil with yuan, and Russia buys Chinese electronics with rubles.
Exactly. And get this, the Global Times even mentioned, maybe bringing back barter systems between Russia and China.
Hey, barter? Trading chickens for wheat?
I know, right? Sounds crazy. But it just shows how serious they are about breaking free from the dollar.
Wow. Okay, so we've got gold, we've got local currencies, we've got barter. What else?
Well, then there's the talk about a BRICS coin.
A BRICS coin? What's that? Some kind of new cryptocurrency?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. They're being super secretive about it, but there are whispers that they're trying to create a whole new currency, one that's not tied to the dollar at all. And maybe it'll be backed by blockchain.
So, imagine a system where you can send money anywhere in the world without going through SWIFT, without using dollars.
Exactly. That's the potential here.
Okay, my head is spinning. So, we've got all these big ideas, but have they actually, built anything yet?
They have. At the BRICS Business Forum in Moscow, they actually unveiled a demo version of BRICS Pay.
Really?
Yeah, they gave out cards preloaded with rubles, and people could use them to buy stuff at certain places. It was just a small test, but it showed that they're serious.
Wow. So it's not just talk, they're actually building something.
Yep, and the full launch is supposed to happen at the BRICS Summit in 2024. They've been working on this for a couple of years now. It seems like they're finally ready to unveil it to the world.
Okay, so that's how BRICS nations are responding to the, the dollar situation. But, what about the rest of the world? Are they paying attention?
Oh, definitely. Even the IMF is interested. They've asked for more details about BRICS Pay, which means they're taking it seriously. And a lot of developing countries, especially in the global south, they see this as a potential game changer.
What's the appeal for them?
Well, think about it. A lot of these countries have been burned by, relying too much on the U.S. dollar and Western financial systems. They see BRICS Pay as a chance to break free from that.
Yeah.
They want financial autonomy, being in control of their own economies and not being totally dependent on decisions made in Washington.
Yeah, I get that. So this isn't just about, a payment system. It's about changing the whole, financial landscape.
Exactly. And that's where this whole BRICS expansion thing comes in, right?
Yeah.
Bringing in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, even Iran. It's a big deal.
It is. Like, those are major players.
Right. And CoinMarketCap, they were talking about how this just like adds fuel to this whole de-dollarization fire. More and more countries are like, okay, we need to like move away from the dollar.
Yeah, yeah. So we've talked about why they want to de-dollarize, but like, what's in it for them? I mean, what are the benefits?
Well, for one, it's about protecting their economic, sovereignty. Like they want to be able to make their own decisions without outside pressure.
Right. So it's like being your own boss, economically speaking.
Exactly. And then there's the whole sanctions thing, like how the U.S. used sanctions against Russia. It made a lot of countries nervous.
Yeah, like if they get on the wrong side of the U.S., they could be next.
Right. So by creating their own systems and using different currencies, they're kind of like insulating themselves.
That's a safety net.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also this idea of like, making global finance more fair and inclusive. A lot of countries think the current system with the dollar at the center is kind of rigged.
Okay, so it's like a power struggle too.
It is. It's about who gets to set the rules and who benefits. But let's be real, creating a whole new global payment system is like a massive undertaking. There are going to be some serious hurdles.
Like what?
Well, first of all, they need to gain people's trust, right? Like, why would businesses and banks and regular people use BRICS Pay when they're already used to the dollar and SWIFT? It's a tough sell.
Right, they have to prove it works and that it's reliable.
Exactly. And they need to make it super easy to use, seamless integration with existing systems.
So it can't just be this like, island off by itself. It has to connect with the rest of the world.
Exactly. And then there's the whole regulatory thing, right? Like countries that benefit from the current system are not going to just sit back and watch this happen.
They'll try to like block it.
Yeah, there could be some pushback for sure. It's a high stakes game. But despite all that, there's also a lot of potential upside.
Besides like, changing the world order.
Right. Think about transaction costs. Like if businesses in BRICS countries can trade with each other using their own currencies, they could save a ton of money.
No more currency exchange fees.
Exactly. And it could open up financial services to people who don't have access to traditional banks, especially in developing countries.
So it's about making finance more accessible to everyone.
That's the idea. But let's zoom in a bit, How might this affect, like, regular people like us? Well, in the short term, probably not much. But if BRICS Pay takes off, we could see a more, diverse global currency market.
So instead of just the dollar, we could have, like, a basket of currencies.
Yeah, exactly. And that could actually be more stable, less risky.
It's like diversifying your investments, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. It's not just about BRICS. It's about a larger shift that's happening. Like we're moving away from this unipolar world dominated by the West towards something more balanced.
Like a multipolar world.
Yes. And that has huge implications for everything, trade, investment, even geopolitics. We're witnessing like a fundamental reshaping of the financial landscape. And it's exciting and a little bit scary at the same time.
Yeah, like we're standing on shifting ground. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right. The outcome of this whole thing is totally uncertain. But one thing is clear, this BRICS Pay thing, along with the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and the New Development Bank, it shows that the balance of power is shifting.
It's not just about money. It's about power, global influence, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And we're just seeing the beginning of it.
It's pretty wild to think that like a payment system could, cause such a big shakeup. We've talked about like why BRICS wants to do this, the whole de-dollarization thing and the potential upsides, but also like the challenges, right? So like what's going to determine if this actually works?
Well, I think a lot depends on, how committed the BRICS countries are to this. Like, are they really willing to go all in on BRICS Pay?
Yeah, they got to put their money where their mouth is, right?
Exactly. It can't just be talk. We need to see action.
Yeah.
Like governments using BRICS currencies for contracts, central banks holding more BRICS reserves, maybe even like giving businesses incentives to use BRICS Pay. Our source from Global Times, they really emphasize this.
So it's like they need to build this whole ecosystem around it, make it easy and beneficial for everyone to use.
Yeah, exactly. They can't just like build it and expect everyone to come running.
Right.
Right. But then there's the technology too. Can BRICS Pay really stack up against SWIFT? I mean, SWIFT is like the big dog.
It's the gold standard, right? And it's been around forever.
Right. So BRICS has to like really innovate here. The good thing is countries like India and China, they're pouring money into fintech and blockchain, so they have a chance to like leapfrog the old systems,
Oh, that's interesting. So they can build something new and modern instead of being stuck with old technology.
Exactly. But we can't forget about like the geopolitical stuff either, right? If things keep getting tense between the West and BRICS, well, that could actually make BRICS Pay more appealing.
Oh, I see. So the more pressure they feel from the dollar, the more they'll want to have their own thing.
Exactly. It could become like, a matter of survival. But, stepping back a bit, what does all this tell us about the future of, money and finance?
Yeah, that's the big question.
I think it's pretty clear that the U.S. dollar isn't going to be the only game in town anymore. We're moving towards a multipolar world with, different currencies and different financial systems all competing. And all of our sources, whether they're from the East or the West, they all seem to agree on this.
So it's like a power shift is happening, right?
And that affects everything, trade, investment, even, global politics. It's a really exciting but also kind of uncertain time.
It's like we're watching history unfold, right?
Exactly. The decisions that are made now are going to affect us for a long time.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive into BRICS Pay. We've learned about, the reasons behind it, the potential benefits, the challenges it faces, and even what it means for the future of, well, everything. Who knew a payment system could be so thought-provoking?
It's been a wild ride. But as we've seen, this goes way beyond just like paying for stuff, right? It's about power dynamics, financial freedom, and maybe even a new world order.
That's a great way to put it. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but we hope you'll keep exploring these ideas. The world of finance is always changing, and there's always something new to learn. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep diving deep.